Welcome to a Sober Shepherds podcast. My name is David Weitz. Over the weekend, I took a drive up to bring my kid a few things at college. It wasn't supposed to be anything special, just an errand. Drop off a few things, turn around and head back. But it became something else. It became a reminder. Before I left, my daughter asked me if I'd bring one of our shepherds with, the one I almost never take on any adventures anymore. Usually she stays home, happy in her routine. But on that day I said, what the hell? I threw on her gear, and the next thing you know, we were on our way up to my daughter's college. So instead of what I planned, a quick ride up and back, turned into something much different. My daughter, her best friend, my shepherd, and I all took a beautiful walk around the campus. We laughed. Later she made me dinner, and my shepherd got showered with love from her roommates. And for the first time in a long time, I was high on life. No work, no deadlines, no stress. Just the fresh air, the sounds of paws at my side, and the joy of just being present. And as I walked, I started thinking about how much of my life has been spent pouring into only those who take. People who love the sound of their voice way more than the sound of my heart beating. I've always been that guy, the helper, the rescuer, the sounding board. But this time felt different. To be honest, my back was killing me from my leather suspenders because I can't afford pants that fit right now. But you know what? I'm grateful. Being too thin for old pants? That's a good problem. Collars that sag? Who cares? Material stuff doesn't define me. I'd much rather have a sore back from suspenders than a sore soul from compromise. Then on my way home, my phone buzzed. It was a message from someone I've known for about 15 years. The same kind I've seen 100 times before. Hey, what's going on? Miss you, brother. The old me would have jumped right in, mirrored it back. I miss you too, brother. I would have given him exactly what he was looking for. A soundboard, someone to unload on. But this time was different. This time I typed something short and polite. Thanks for checking in. I'm tied up with family and a few projects, but I hope you're doing well. That's it. Done. No hook. No pretending. And that one little text. That was huge for me because it showed me something. I don't have to keep giving away pieces of myself to people who don't give back. I could still be kind. I can still be respectful. But I don't have to lie. I don't have to say, I miss you when I don't. I don't have to engage when I don't want to. That's self-value in action. And I'm not telling you this as some expert life coach. This isn't a lesson I've mastered. I'm discovering it right now, in real time, as I'm talking to you. That text exchange showed me something, not about him, but about me, about what I'm finally willing to do differently. Because for a long time, I didn't just let people take. I trained them to. I trained them to think of me as a rescuer, the listener, the guy who'd take it all. I gave them the blueprint for how to use me. And now, I'm retraining myself. I'm learning that my time is sacred. My peace is sacred. My heart is sacred. And I think about where all this really started for me. Not just the texts, not just the people who take without giving, but the years I spent at that place. The place I poured 8 years of my life into. The place run by owners who haven't stepped foot inside of their own business for 6 years. On paper, they look successful. Properties everywhere, a family business with a legacy name. But behind the curtain, it was all smoke and mirrors. And the general manager was holding the whole thing together, picking up their messes, running their finances, running their personal errands, while they orchestrated everything from a phone sitting in a house 200 yards away. They had money, but no presence. Houses, but no home. And like a lot of us, I kept hoping if I just show up one more year, if I just never miss a day, if I just worked harder, maybe then they'll see my value. But they didn't. They couldn't. Because how can you expect someone to value you when they don't even value themselves? And all that money was just a smokescreen for fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of looking in the mirror. And every so-called gift came with a hook, even for a 12-year-old child. I'll never forget the day after one of those fancy dinners when a comment was thrown at me about my daughter. She was just a kid. That was the last time I ever brought her there. I used to think that was a small decision, but looking back, it was one of the first boundaries I ever drew. Long before I knew how to draw boundaries, long before I knew how to draw lines consciously, something in me said, no more. And yet, even with all those red flags, I stayed. I kept hoping because I'm loyal by nature, because I wanted to believe, because I was still training people how to treat me. It took 8 years and a final insult for me to bolt the door shut, to block their numbers, to make it impossible for them to pull me back. And I'm telling you this because I know I'm not the only one who's been there, working for people who devalue you, hoping they'll wake up. But here's what I've learned. They never will. The only way they'll ever see your value is when you finally see it first. And that's what this podcast is. This is me reliving it. Not to wallow, but to show you the blueprint for walking out with your soul intact. Because sobriety isn't just about putting down a drink. It's about waking up in every area of your life. It's about learning to draw lines, even when it's scary. It's about saying, I choose me, even when your voice shakes. This week, one of my reels hit 500 plays. And that old insecure voice whispered, yeah, but it wasn't 5,000. But you know what? I hit publish. I showed up. And hope carried me through that whisper. Hope carried me through the nights when I felt punished and broken. Hope made me hit publish instead of giving up. Hope walked me into a meeting when I was shaking. And now, hope is standing right here in front of me, waiting to be spoken into this mic. Then, the other morning, I got a message from someone who actually listened to the podcast. Not just listened, she lived it. She told me she was at a meeting and somebody came up after and said, I didn't hear what it was like. You know, wanting the drunkalogue, the war story. She said she felt that sting, that need to perform. But then she remembered what I said last time, that people with strong sobriety want to hear what it's like now. That's the message. That's the value. She carried it into her own life. That just floored me. That's the whole point of this. Not numbers, not applause, but walking this road together in real time. Because let me tell you what it isn't. It isn't people sitting in a vape shop watching some guy on YouTube shovel food down his throat with one hand and play video games with the other while people literally pay him to shout out their names. And I think, what kind of lesson is that for your kids? We complain that our children are obsessed with screens, but look at the adults they're watching. Oh, but he's making a ton of money. So what? Since when did a paycheck equal value? You can make millions and still be spiritually bankrupt. That's not success. That's starvation dressed up as influence. And yeah, that rant, that's me reliving it. My sponsor always says, can you tell me something without reliving it, Dave? But here on this mic, I have to relive it. That's how we learn. That's how we reach the people who still feel like they're the only ones. Because I've been there. I've worked for people counting their money while their employees bleed loyalty. They call themselves business owners, micromanaging lives they'll never understand. You can't work harder, stay longer, never miss a day in 8 years. They'll never see it. It doesn't work that way because they were blind before I even showed up. That's the lesson I had to learn. They hide behind their money thinking it gives them value, but it's just a smokescreen. The truth is, they're terrified to look in the mirror and see what's missing. And when you finally walk away, when you finally set that boundary, they'll make you feel like the villain, like you're the problem, like you're ungrateful. But here's the truth. I used to walk around with my tail between my legs, wondering how I could have ever stayed loyal for so long. But now I see it clearly. I wasn't loyal to them. I was loyal to hope that someday they'd wake up and notice. But they never did. And that's okay. because I did. That's what self-value looks like. You stop waiting for other people to validate you. You stop hoping they'll evolve, and you just leave. That's what self-value looks like. That's the real success. The real success isn't money. It's freedom. It's walking away with your soul intact. And that's what recovery really is. It's learning how to live differently, sober. Not just without the drink, but without the disease of people-pleasing. I never had to show up every day and never miss a shift when I was drinking. I never had to carry emotional weight without numbing it before. But sobriety teaches you to face these lessons. Awake, aware, and accountable. There's a saying that I love. A smart man learns from his mistakes, but a wise man learns from others. So if my pain can help you avoid yours, then maybe that's my purpose. Because this, what we're doing right now, this is the antidote to instant gratification. You see, I grew up in the age of anticipation. You waited all week for Friday night TV. Dallas came on right after the Dukes of Hazzard. And you didn't dare miss it because you couldn't just stream it later. That anticipation, that waiting, made things special. And now we live in a world where everything's on demand. We don't wait for anything. We binge. We refresh. We scroll. And somehow we think faster means better. But it doesn't. It just means emptier. And that's why I release my content the way I do. A few reels throughout the week, and then the big one, the podcast. The little reels, they're the previews. But this is the main event. You can't binge self-value. You can only live it. One episode, one brick, one day at a time. Today reminded me of what matters. Not the noise, not the stuff, not the endless performing. What matters is this: faith, loyalty, love, a man, his shepherd, a simple day of presence. You can draw a line and still hold a heart. You can set a boundary without losing your soul. And when you do, you'll finally see what I saw driving home that day. That your value was never up for debate. Because every voice matters. And maybe mine will reach someone who needs it.